So else are y'all offering today? You said you've got some welding classes and cooking. How did that get here? Your new bikes, man.
Yeah, we were just on bikes, and it was easy. And then we kind of saw that we had a smaller population of girls who were really coming consistently. So we were like, what would be interest to you? Our girls leaned in. It's like, yeah, we love what's going on with the garden because we had open spaces to grow food. And they wanted to see that develop into cooking because that was something that was of interest. And obviously, in Baton Rouge, we have some areas that don't have grocery stores or easy food access. And we have put up community gardens in those areas, which is a fantastic idea. But how much of what's growing in the garden evolved into your daily diet? How much is going from that garden to the table in your household? And from our experience, it wasn't enough. It was some, but it really was still being viewed as a novelty to have a vegetable or something coming home or some herbs coming home that were fresh. So we said, well, we need to do something to make it seem easy and more consistent and fun. So we started doing cooking classes, and we just got some burners to go outside. We just set up some tables, and we got a few chefs. Shout out to Chef Tracy, who's fantastic with American Heart Association. Chef Celeste has come to visit us. And we had the Junior League bring some of their volunteers to just cook some recipes. And it started to really build this culture of, yeah, I want to take what's in that garden home and I want to eat it. And so that's what kind of got us in that culinary space. It wasn't as much about the credentials that we're going to hopefully have here as much as it was, let's make sure we get to our diet, can be living healthy. Gardening was always with Southern agriculture. I have a good friend, Stephanie Elwood, who would refuse for me to have a green patch of grass without something growing in it. So she'd show up and just start making stuff in the soil. Kids enjoyed it. They loved planting their plants and seeing them grow, and that relationship to, organically seeing something beautiful happen with their own hands. Welding came out of all the scrap metal. It just was it's just like, what are we going to do with all the scrap metal and these mounds of it?
Yeah.
And we were able to leverage a couple really cool projects. The Knock Knock Children's Museum has our large sculpture dome that's in their backyard that they contracted our students to build a number of years ago. The Family Youth Service Center has a sculpture they contracted us to build for them. Since then, we've become way more practical and not as much into arts as much as just building handrails, making small repairs to lawnmowers or little things like that. We do have a few art pieces, but most we wanted to do is not so much the end product as much the skills and training for our young people, really exposure. A lot of people have imaginations about how they could do welding. Everyone says, oh, go do welding. Get under a hood and try it, and get out in the sun and try it, and you're like, whoa, welding's hard.
Welding's extremely hard.
This is a skill, this is a talent, it's difficult, but there's a high demand, and people can't find enough welders to go into institutions to do these jobs. But we have young people who are on the verge of dropping out who are mechanically inclined and very skilled, so we got to bridge this gap. How do we, that's kind of speaking back to some of our kids who, while they're very mechanically inclined, really interested in building, working, learning, struggle academically, well, we gotta somehow figure out how we close this into where we don't lose you before you gain access to the things we need you most at. We need technicians in everything, all the time, frequently, and we're always having hiring shortages, but the young people who would fit into those voids, well, they're quitting school and going into other maybe fast food industries or other companies that maybe don't exactly have as much accessibility for the long term.
Right.
And so trying to navigate that with young people, so it's say, this is your exposure to what welding is, what cooking is, what mechanics is, what gardening and landscaping, horticulture, and hopefully finding that passion, that ignite that fire, that catalyst that says, man, I have dreams to do this. And if that happens, it's beautiful. And we get to go along the ride for their success story and be like, that's right, you're doing it. Way to go. We got to be a part of, your journey as you've been wayfinding to find yourself. And I think that's the special part about what we do.